Hello, world. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and this is Sleep Atomic. I hope you're feeling good while we're going over Andor episode 9. Nobody's listening. And bring it in because I have a lot to discuss. I like to think about all the points that would keep me engaged and that I could apply to certain situations or ideas. I like trying to get into people's shoes. Not literally, of course, but learn their thought process and see what brought them there, and so I could eventually give them something to add to themselves that will eventually help them throughout their day, which will ultimately help me throughout my day. And the episode starts off to show you what measures the Empire will go to, or at least the ISB will go to get the information that they want. And this is just information. And this is shown with Bix being interrogated and with those very interesting torture headphones to get you started to go, why are they doing this? Is it just for fun? Is it to show them not to go against them? Or is it to send a message? But it's definitely send a message. It's not in the conventional sense to where they write on a piece of paper or send an email or something. They want to send a ripple of sorts to shake out certain things and streamline the whole empire. And they use a kind of a system that's not exactly the newspaper or just it situationally dominoes certain people into other people so you could see or feel the conditions that are being, I want to say, contracted from the empire, and eventually almost like a real person, it'll be a knock at your door and they're the situation is trying to present itself to you. And no matter what quiet thing they were trying to keep under wraps, there were certain things going on in the background that you may have not noticed. But it piques your curiosity because at certain times you do notice it itching away at certain people at certain times. Maybe it's like an expression just a little off. So whatever it is, has got you wondering. And because of that wandering thought, you are trying to genuinely listen and you hope that it converts the idea into something you could use. And when this visitor is done talking, the episode, uh, you get the main points of empire, change, and certain points to see for the change and the rebellion. So when you see, let's say, Cassian, you'll know, he's going to do something about the Empire. It's like a word of mouth, notification with you seeing something as the trigger. Like the fun version of this would be finding out how your friends did all this trendy stuff before they knew it was trendy. It's like the call of nature thing, but with a emphasis on the human aspect. And every time for the rebellion, more and more people will learn how to push and pull at the correct moments for the empire to crumble. For everyone to eventually have a good time that's nice and lasting. And to say that nobody's listening, you're almost trying to invoke the opposite, or the episode is trying to invoke the opposite of everyone's listening. Everyone's listening for a event. Everyone's listening for some news. Everyone's listening for a phrase. Just some small notification or sign that tips you off to the correct direction that everything's going and you should go. You hear I'm a Taurus or certain things like that that stick out to you. You'll want to know what that spells out for your greater environment. But it is and it isn't as obvious as just hearing that and reacting to it. It basically justifies people like keeping out or keeping their heads down away from certain action to wisely act at the correct time. Like the title seems to imply like maybe someone's like going to place and going like nobody's listening, like the Empire is bad, and everyone's just like, yeah, we get it, go sit down. We'll get to it later. But this is like really the thing that's going on. Because you can't really see the actual influence of things if you're like constantly making things like fluctuate. So you give it like one good push here or there and see what happens. Like the Aldani heist. And that was only 6 or 7 people, so another good spot and more people in the correct place again will do even better. So, unfortunately, by the time you see Cassian, Vel, Daedra, Bix, even, you'll see that they've been traced back from the 6 or 7 people from Aldani to them. Kind of the same idea biting back on them, but they know it works. I mean, that's how you really want it to work, right? Where you could do the back and forth. I don't know about like 1-to-1, just because the diluting it like would be a little safer than just someone immediately hearing about someone being upset about like, the food or something. But that's just small potatoes. They want to change like the whole galaxy that the Empire is in control of, so everybody can have their day in the sun. I don't know if the episode is or it's just the easier thing to do, but it's just going along with existing goals and expectations so they can trace back to where and when to do any of the rebellion stuff. Almost to where like that sand trooper seems to have just kind of like sniffed it out a little bit, but he's just like, hey, like, you're going to jail. And Cassian's just like, I'm a tourist. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the sand trooper's just like, oh, yeah, I'm a Libra. Crazy. Like, my droid friend over here is going to sort you out. So, in Cassian's words of, I'm a tourist, will echo out, even though it's not exactly what you were expecting for it to hint at rebellion, but it does. But this call nature rang back, and we get to see Cassian in jail on Narkina 5, and he's scheming at this point. Now that he's like settled in and everything, and the whole experience hasn't broken him at all. You get to see certain people like coping with the whole ordeal. There's the guy like talking it out, but he's really just like signing to, I don't know, his friend, just reaching out into his little spear. And then there's the keep paranoia alive guy that's like the Kino Loy keeps getting mad at. And then Kino himself is doing the authoritative like power through it. But this isn't like Cassian's getting indirectly punished about this because they couldn't catch him about the Aldani thing. It's just the very thing that everyone wants to change. Because if you get a extremely good day, there'll be an extremely bad day coming to chase you down. But almost as if Cassian knows what's going on outside the jail. Like, he's just trying to stay on schedule. He's like doing something to some pipe where the work bathroom is. And he's finding out that the floor is not electrified on the lift from the guard station to the work floor. He's doing a lot of things that other people wouldn't have if they were in the same situation. The episode's nice about showing you how you can deal with certain stuff. You're definitely not in a jail, obviously, but in the jail parts of Narkina 5, you get to see Cassian like overcome a lot of things. Maybe because it's a common thing, but you see Cassian toiling away at something, and then like it goes to Daedra, and she's like toiling away at trying to stop the rebellion, and you'd see Cassian struggling, and then there's the whole situation with Bix like getting interrogated. So maybe in reverse, like people are learning about Cassian and how he's like not doing any of the usual stuff and seeing how he might do what he's gonna do. Cassian has to endure all the glares from Kino Loy before eventually at the end Kino's attitude changes. You could attach several things like to his glares, but it's mostly like I don't like you. Like I don't like what you're doing right now. Like even though he's not doing anything but the only and correct thing. Then the episode checks back in with Mon Mothma, and as a senator, she's trying to put her word out into society to get something fixed or achieved, but it kind of doesn't seem like she has the best day because people like are on two divided sides. But she gets home, and then cousin Vel, or oh no, her sister Vel is visiting, and they're having dinner and talking. We get some good moments with her, and Mon Mothma even like smiles at the whole thing. They catch up and stuff, and she's like trying to tell Vel not to get headlong into the rebellion to where she isn't safe. But again, with the double dealing or double dipping, you can also kind of like see her get the benefit of if she does that, she'll be able to explain like where some of the money went without having to go to Tay for solutions. But she tries to get her word in like with we'll take what's left. There's risk. There's no other way. But you can kind of see that Mon Mothma like has plans for people. Like everyone around her is like an extension of what she wants to have around. So she's like telling Vel to be a spoiled rich kid. It's like highlight bold on the spoiled and rich. Because I at least noticed that she could at least say like, oh, like this is where the money went, or that's why we pulled out all this extra money and we had to go pay off like Vel's stuff. Nothing to see here. Like it could be her double dipping, or she's just being like more apparent with her intentions, even though it's like something you have to like go back and like remember and reanalyze. But also on Coruscant, meanwhile, Cyril is getting some good news. He gets promoted, like his mom is actually happy in front of him. And he just kind of like attributes this all to Daedra. So he like somehow finds out where she's gonna be at a certain time, and he's like there. He's just like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like I'm so grateful for what you did and stuff. It was almost like he's like a troubled youth under the Empire, and then Daedra like pulled some strings to get him promoted and did all this stuff. Maybe so that he could back on his feet and back to helping the Empire or whatever. So there's at least that kind of nice thing with Daedra, like if that's really what happened for the opposite of Rebels. There's like a real slim window of noticing that, but she's like ISB, so she's like trying to like not have a some weird security risk and lead him to whatever or let something happen. Because he definitely did send like 7 inquiries about Cassian Andor or whatever. So she's probably at least hoping not to do that unless she's like keeping it very hush hush about the promotion or everything. It's kind of a big jump, but I just want to see someone be nice to someone in the show. If you're really paying attention, like I guess everyone is getting some small triumphs through the whole episode. There's a Cyril thing, and I guess it's going pretty well with his mom. And then Cassian, even though he's like where he's at, is doing all right, and it's elevating to where he gets the scheme, which is his thing. Elevating or flattening out to where that happens. It's everybody except Mon Mothma, just because the way she like sees it or interprets it. She kinda is gonna get a little triumph, but there's like a little stipulation. There's always some sort of catch with like her stuff, like at least so far. Like she has an ideal husband and daughter, but they all like are grouchy, like away from her maybe, or slightly close to her, like when they're supposed to be enjoying themselves. It's always like at the edge of there, or like the tip of another thing or another. But it looks as though, without explaining the whole thing, it's gonna kind of cast itself like upon the second season, or maybe like a lot longer. Maybe they're just doing a little thing for like see what it's like for politics or something for the realness relation. But definitely for the focal point of everything else going on. Like on the other ones, like oh, if you know where Din Djarin is, like you'll be actively like doing something, or before anything related to Leia or Luke or something, but mainly Leia. It was kind of Amidala for those three, but it was probably mostly Anakin there. He had a princely thing going on, like maybe like Aladdin, but then like I I don't know where they went with it. At least before like the realization of Darth Vader. But not to get into that too much, but he did like get with Queen Amidala. And here we have the historical next thing in line is the senator. Penthouse in the clouds and all that. I thought it was nice to see, even if they like shaved off like certain things that's not very like presentable. But it was just like the smallest amount of any kind of drama. So in which story wise is very like the action of it, like a sword fight or lightsaber fight, just so you can see everything like mm, growing or piling up or something, and then you're like, oh, like what's gonna happen? Like that was everything that popped out to me at least. I mean, there's the thing at the end where Kino and Cassian get a confirmation about what happens on or what happened on level 2. I don't have too much to say about that. That's exactly what it looks like. And then it's the real beginning of Cassian's plan with Kino saying it's like there's never more than 12 men on each floor. I like Cassian's like coy way of asking Kino to help. He's just like, how many guards are there on each level? I'm just kind of like impressed how indirect it is, and it's still like getting across all this stuff. It just reminds me of like a little kid trying to get their parents or whoever to agree to do something. When you like cheekily like ask them at that moment even. But that was the episode. This video was more discussion on the ideas and themes and stuff than the actual episode discussion, but I don't hate it. Just play it before or maybe after or during it even, and then maybe like it will go along, like I'd like to think, and go along with the episode and everything that's progressing. But yeah, this was Sleep Atomic, and I'm Alistair. I hope you have just as much to ponder on and think about with this episode as I did. And if no one's told you yet, you look good. And it's great. I see you trying out there.